just growth is not good enough, and that I feel sort of deep down, I want to get into that. And this brings a little bit of the World Bank's recent work on poverty and shared prosperity. Growth, the way we are measuring, and all this chart is you take literally the entire income of the country and see how that income is growing. Who's getting how much of that? You pay no attention. But it's only right that you should be concerned about poverty. And to me, it's also right that you should be concerned about inequality. Some inequality has to exist in life. That's what makes an economic engine function. So you can't go to the extreme and say you don't want any of that. But the amount of inequality that exists today in the world, there is something wrong with that. And you have to attend to that. And don't believe people who say that the bulk of the inequality that you see in the world today, it's because some people choose to work hard and earn more, and others they show a preference for leisure. I'm sure there is a certain amount of inequality differences for that reason. But bulk of human inequality begins to shows up at birth. If you're being born in a slum with absolutely no inheritance, no education you will get, then right from the word go, your chances are blighted. And someone who is born into wealth and is going to get a huge amount of inheritance, right from the word go, you're going to do better. And babies are not hardworking or not hardworking. They may be getting ready for a life of hard work or non-hard work, but as babies, they are not. And a lot of the inequality, huge amount in my opinion, is being determined there by where you're being born and into what circumstances. How do you take this into account, the concern for inequality and sharing? We developed the concept of shared prosperity, and we wanted to give it a very easy definition so that governments, ministers would follow. And our notion of shared prosperity is the growth rate of the per capita income of the poorest 40% of a population. How is the bottom 40% doing? The concept is about the growth of the income of the bottom 40%. So it means that you have to also keep an attention to people who are above 40%, because if you don't, then those people will fall into your bottom 40% next year. One criticism we were getting is that some people would say, but you're not paying attention to inequality at all, because if you simply talk about the growth rate of the income of the bottom 40%, you don't know whether inequality is going up or going down. If the top 60% or the average in the country is rising faster than the bottom 40%, then actually inequality is increasing. It's true, we do not create a measure, we take both of them, where we take both of those into account, but average growth So that data is available in one column. Then when on another column you see the growth rate of the bottom 40%, you'll immediately know whether the gap is increasing or it's decreasing. And on this, it's possible to get into interesting debates with countries. Two countries where growth in recent times have been very successful: in China, where growth has been phenomenally successful; India, where growth has been moderately successful. Both these countries, interestingly, the bottom 40% is growing slower than the top 60%. Just being passionate and concerned about poverty is not good enough. That's important. You should feel disturbed about extreme poverty. You should feel disturbed about extreme inequality. But just allowing your passion to construct policy means that you risk running errors in policy making, which could do more harm than good.